Our panelists are here. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. Let's welcome them. Namaskar. Welcome one and all. I would like to honor and extend a very warm welcome to our Director Sir, to Director CPRG, and to our esteemed panelists, along with the faculty members of IIM, and colleagues and students. After a very successful day one of the Conclave, wherein we learned about how automation and artificial intelligence influences finance, startups, and how it could lead to the fourth industrial revolution. Now we start the second day of the conclave discussing how governance perhaps could be transformed using AI and artificial intelligence in some of its applications. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing how governments operate, offering tools that can enhance efficiency, transparency, and citizen engagement. This session on exploring the impact of AI and automation on governance will explore the ways AI is being integrated into governance structures in India, from improving public service delivery to streamlining administrative processes. We'll discuss the real-world examples of AI-driven governance, the impact on decision-making it has, and the challenges of implementing these technologies in the public sector. Attendees will have the opportunity to discover how AI is shaping the new era of governance marked by smarter and more responsive government operations. Today, we are honored to have our distinguished panelists with us. We have here today three stalwarts who served with the government of India, and the names that need no introduction. We are joined by Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, Mr. Ravi Shankar Srivastava, and Ms. Sangeeta Kodbole. I would like you all to welcome our panelists with a huge round of applause. And the session is going to be moderated by our very own Professor Poonam Singh. I would now like to request the panelists and our moderator to please come on the stage. Thank you so much. So our first panelist for the day is Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, a name that needs no introduction. Dr. Balasubramaniam is an esteemed author and a prominent member of Human Resource Division of Capacity Building Commission, Government of India. Dr. Balasubramaniam is a widely respected development activist, leadership trainer, thinker, and a writer. Currently, he is the member HR in the Capacity Building Commission of the Government of India, and also the chairman of the Social Stock Exchange Advisory Committee set up by SEBI. Further, he holds several academic accolades, including a Tata Scholar, a Mason Fellow of the Harvard Kennedy School, and a Fellow at the Hauser Center for Civil Society, Harvard University. He is also a former Rhodes Professor. Sir, we welcome you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for joining us today. I would now like to request Professor Sanjeev Verma to please felicitate our very own Balu sir. Thank you so much. Next, we have with us Ms. Sangeeta Godbole. Ma'am is a retired officer of the Indian Revenue Service 1989 batch. In her distinguished career as a bureaucrat, she served in roles like Director General of the Services Exports Promotion Council. After her retirement, she has actively pursued her interests in trade and environment policy. She holds a master's degree from the Graduate Institute in Geneva. Ma'am, thanks for joining us today. Thank you. And now I would like to request Professor Ranjini to please felicitate ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. So our third panelist for the day is Mr. Ravi Shankar Srivastav. Mr. Srivastav is an officer belonging to the 1993 batch of Indian Revenue Service. Yes. Well, currently serves as the Principal Commissioner of Income Tax in Mumbai, and he has extensively worked in the field of international tax and transfer pricing. In the past, he was also the Chief General Manager at SEBI, Invest Commissioner of the State of Bihar, and officer on special duty to the Union Finance Minister. Sir, pleasure having you here with us today. Thank you so much. I would now like to request Professor Ruchita Gupta to please felicitate, sir. This session is moderated by our very own Professor Poonam Singh. Professor Poonam Singh is a very liked professor here at IIM Mumbai, and she's known for her work in finance. And I would now like to request Ramananji to please felicitate Professor Poonam Singh. Thank you so much. So Professor Poonam Singh is the moderator of this session, and now I would like to request ma'am to take it forward from here. Thank you.
Hello. Is it, am I audible? Great. Very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists today. And of course, a very good morning to all my students, our esteemed faculty members, and guests who are here. So the journey that we have taken, it started since yesterday, and we are almost at the fag end of it, where today we are going to discuss a very important and pertinent issue which touches all our lives in some sense or the other. And that is about governance and the role that AI has played, or more so can play in future, to make governance easier and probably implementable, because some of the major pain points, and we would hear from our panelists on that, probably comes at the grassroots implementation of it, and if there AI can play an important role, that would surely benefit us. I am not going to, be a hindrance between the audience here and the panelists, so let me get on to the discussion directly. So what I suggest is that probably we can start with an opening remark from each one of you, and then we can have a question and answer session. Finally, we can open this to the audience for a quick Q&A. Does that sound okay? Okay. So may I start with Balazar? You.
Looks like I'm the oldest in this room, so I'm going to. That also means I'm the farthest from AI. Okay. I had absolutely no understanding of AI. So let me be very honest. And so the first doubt I had when Ramananji asked me to come here is, has he made a mistake? But then I convinced myself I will be an appropriate person, because 90% of government today is exactly like me. Struggling to discover how do we understand the power and potential of AI, how do we not fall into the trap of getting sucked into the hallucinations that AI is very popular for. And so I just want to start off with two examples. Luckily, I am in government in the last 3 years. Coming from a completely different background from social sector, living in a forest, all that we had to gain was intelligence of nature, animals, and from that to something like AI is a long, long story. But my first exposure was a little more than 3 years ago, just after COVID, on a visit to teach in China. A friend of mine was, she was taking me around. And she would try to come and meet me every other day so that she thought I should feel comfortable. And she would drive down in her car in Beijing. First 3 days she came every day. The fourth day she came by the metro. And I was wondering whether she's doing something to save the environment, or she's doing something to save money. Or she said she got bored of a friend after 3 days and said, oh my God, I will live. Someone will take care of you for 2 more days. I asked her, why metro today? And she explained to me that, and this is a 4-5, maybe 2020, 21, I think, I'm not, just after COVID, when the entry opened, no, just before COVID, sorry. So before China shut down. And she said that throughout Beijing city, the law at that time was you cannot arrive why you cannot be seen on the street in your vehicle for more than 4 times? Explain to me 4 days a week. And this is 4, 5. And I said, how? In India, if you say 4 days a week, nobody will figure it out. Just after COVID. We don't have to worry about it. And she said, no. Here, the fifth day, the moment I leave my apartment complex, and she said that, first time I break the law, I law at that time I cannot, that's why you want this has been why you cannot be seen on the street waiting for more than 4 days a week. And so she said, the second time I break it, I get a suspension of my license for a month. Third time, I'll get a notice that my license has been cancelled. And I said, how can it even happen? She said, well, you don't know, because the moment you landed at the airport, did you go to a kiosk, a machine? Immigration has been cleared, everything has happened, but you still go to a separate machine, and you stand in front of the machine, it records everything, and gives you a small slip of paper saying that you've actually done it. And she said, wherever, till the day you leave, wherever you're traveling around China, you're tracked. Your face is tracked. Now, on one side, you can say it's invasion of privacy. They can argue and say we're protecting you. But the point is, that is how they were already deploying AI those days. And they're not using the word AI, but they were just calling it software, technology, etc. And we think that they're advanced. Now, I can give you any number of stories in the way we do our analysis at the commission, but I'll get into it next. Recently, I don't know how many of you, any of you from Karnataka, I'm not sure. Bangalore-Mysore highway is now being taken up as a sampler. There used to be at least 100 deaths every month. I'm not exaggerating. It was horrendous, because new highway, the normal distance that used to take from Bangalore to Mysore when I was a young person like you used to be 3 hours those days. Now then before the highway got built, it was 5 to 5.5 hours for 140 kilometers. So people must have been frustrated traveling at 25, 30. That the moment a completely barricaded highway opened up, they would fly at 150, 160 kilometer speed and complete the distance in an hour's time. And the government was flabbergasted. What can you do? You can't again put road humps on a seamless highway. You can't, how much police can you put? So they came up with an idea. The NHAI has come up with an idea, which is they have set up multiple AI-based cameras across the highway, which captures your, what do you call it, the number plate, measures your speed, and not at one point of time. It keeps measuring your speed at different points of time. And if you take less than 80 minutes, if you travel at an average of, the allowed speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour speed. If you travel at that speed, it's supposed to take 80 or 90 minutes to clear it with all your slowing down, starting up, etc. But if you take less than 80 minutes finally, the AI automatically will send you a notification. It sends a notification to the police jeep waiting at the end of the highway. And they catch you and fine you there itself. Today, I was just looking at data before coming here. The last 3 months that's been in action, the number of deaths are 6. I think it's a great real support. Now we can always say everybody knows what you're doing. Now in Government of India, we have something called the NAT grid. Today we have the AIS data, which officers sitting here, every time you swipe your card, every time you cross a toll gate with FASTag, well, we know you've done it. At least your car has gone ahead, right? And so this huge data, how do you actually manage this data? We really cannot do it in a human-centric way. We really need to see patterns. We have to see all these things. And therefore, I think the biggest way we can use this, at least we're already using it in Government of India, is in data analysis. Now, when you look at data, it also gives us a lot of support for policy making, because when I used to teach public policy, we would use different statistical tools to demonstrate all the predictive processes based on historical data. We never imagined that there's so much historical data. The greater the data, the richness of your predictions. And again, we doing it is going to be a very, very, very long, expensive time. Now, in minutes or seconds, you can actually get analysis to tell us what kind of policies will have what kind of impact. You know, it's wonderful to even understand that we can do it. I'll not take too much time because I'll allow a co-panelist to speak about it. what we are using at the Capacity Building Commission for is we are trying to embed this, and for the first time, you'll all be surprised in government. The Government of India never really had any job description for officers. Right? You join and you figure out your own job description, you start doing it, and then in certain specialized branches like the income tax, where they have designations like commissioner, joint commissioner, etc., they know what they're supposed to do and they figure it out and go deeper and deeper and learn it on their own. But they are never told when they join, as an SDM, this is your job description. This is how you'll be measured. This is exactly your performance. So we were struggling to even understand performance, and numbers are mind-boggling. We have 20 million civil servants in Government of India, including all the public sector undertakings, banks, railways, everything. But the real government is only 700,000 that we are focusing on. 3.2 million is what a first layer that we are also looking at. Now, how do you understand their learning? We are only 57 people in the commission, and we're supposed to look at the entire nation of 40 million civil servants, including state governments. It's impossible. So what we have done is we have mapped out individual roles based on designations of the entire Government of India. It's a huge task that we have achieved in the last 2 years. Know exactly what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do, and what are the competencies you need to do that. And we have built a very good technological platform, because India is very good at it, where we are now introducing proctored assessments of competencies. We'll be shortly rolling it out, where every single officer, even people, senior officers like Ravi Shankar including, have to do an assessment of their competencies based on the role that is mapped that they are currently posted in. The moment they write their employee ID, it's all going to get rolled out in the next 6 months. They put their employee ID and their designation. It will give them this for your job. These are the competencies you need to do your job well. And then they go to a proctored assessment. It will automatically, the algorithm will tell us what is it that's acceptable, what is in the orange zone which they could improve on, and what is absolutely they can't start their postings without completing the following courses. It gives an individualized learning journey for every single of these 3.2 million people, which could have been unthinkable earlier. Not only that, it also maps and tells us, even now I get data, on who is doing what and how good are they, and that data goes to the secretaries of the departments, in their case the board, and they could actually map and say how this person's trajectory been in the learning space, and are they learning enough to actually take their next job? Have they acquired enough competencies to be posted or promoted? If cabinet clears it, then competency acquisition is going to be connected to postings and promotion, which will change India's bureaucracy completely. And that is possible only because we can deploy large-scale analytical tools like AI. Now, that being said, there's also a challenge. Now, it only responds to data that we allow it to operate on. And if there is a bias in data, because we know we have in government, we do what we call the performance appraisals. And everybody is a 9.9 in government on 10. Which means you don't need the capacity building commission. Their capacities must be so good. So the system being quite subjective, if you were to depend on that to pick up patterns and say how people are, it will say everybody's a top performer already. So biases are also going to get reinforced. So how do you clean that up? How do you manage it? And more importantly, everything in government is justiciable. So people can go to courts, people can question. So if you're connecting postings, promotions to your competency, and if you cannot demonstrably show the algorithm is perfect and not hallucinating, then we'll have a real challenge on that. So we are trying our best to understand all this. So like I said, I did the most sensible thing with AI. Since I'm not an expert, I have 10 young people working with me, people between 25 and 30, who are so damn good that I only have borrowed their AI knowledge and use it in my office. So I'll conclude with saying how powerful it is. One person running an AI learning company presented to us, it's all India. They're all so good. It was so impressive, I never believed it. And coming from the leadership policy space, he said, we can design any course that you ask us for Government of India officials. And I wanted to challenge him. I said, in my presence right now, design a course on introduction to public policy. So he said, what are your parameters? You give your parameters, according to that it will design. And so teaching at Cornell, I knew exactly how many hours, what, etc. I said 14 classes or 28 classes we do in a semester, but we'll have half semester course. So I gave it all kinds of parameters, which I thought it will get confused by. And it gave me such perfect design. I couldn't have done it as good as that. And it also said, should I help you with recommended readings? Should I also prepare slides for you? And it gave me slides. So that means I don't have to do anything. Then I said, thankfully, the universities don't know and they need us, so we still teach. Otherwise, you people can go give your own courses. You can make your own material. One last, the reason I got inspired by AI and how I've really fallen in love with it and using it is, the Prime Minister wanted us to design, now in Parliament, if you look at our acts, we are now trying to make all our acts citizen-friendly or citizen-centric. Now each act will be 300 pages, 200 pages. Only the judge and even parliamentarians, I'm not sure if they spend time reading it and appreciating the depth of what officers spend time writing. In the entire country, there's one cadre called Indian Legal Service. There are only 44 officers in the entire nation. And they are burdened with all the work related to law and lawmaking and policy making. And these officers don't even, we realize they don't even get training. Yet all of you go to academies and do foundation courses, they get nothing. And so we really had to invest on them. The Prime Minister said, can you have an accompanying law? Every law that goes to Parliament should have an accompanying law called based on simple language drafting. Very simple, ordinary English, which ordinary citizens can read and understand and feel that this law is for me. Because the government today is extremely citizen-centric and they want everything for citizens. And we were looking at training. So anything to do with law, obviously we go to National Law Schools, National Law School Bangalore. The Vice Chancellor is a good friend, so I spoke to him. He said, we'll design it for you. And repeated up back and forth presentations on what the workshop will look like, how will we do all that. So one day I was traveling to Bangalore for the final design. And my young colleague, who was also very tech-friendly and also a lawyer. He was also one of the graduates from a law school. He was traveling with me and we were going. And he was talking about AI to me. Somebody like a little older than you, maybe 2-3 years older than you. And he said, sir, ChatGPT had just come in. I said, oh, I thought ChatGPT means something where you can chat with it, but I didn't realize the power of it. I never used it. So he showed me on his laptop as we were driving and said, sir, can I ask it to design a simple language drafting workshop for us? So he gave the parameters like government officers, ILS, he put specifics. Because internet, it's all information, it scrubs from it. And said 3-day workshop, 4-day workshop, 5-day workshop. We'll ask it to do 3 different models. And it gave us a beautiful details, everything, how it should be done. And we said it should be immersive, it should be based on adult learning principles, all that. We went to the meeting and the faculty were all sitting and presenting to us. And after the presentation was done, they also did a damn good job after National Law School. So I gave them this I said, can you make a printout of this? And we asked them to make a printout of what we discovered. And I asked Sudhir, the Vice Chancellor, how good do you think this material is? He went through it and he said, if I were you, Balu, I will not get NLS to do it for you. You better, whoever designed it for you, you should get them to teach this workshop. And it was ChatGPT. Unfortunately, we could not use it to teach. So there is a real potential. But he also pointed out in the design 3-4 flaws, which an ordinary person like me can't pick up. So what I finally concluded was, however good AI is, you still need a human being interface to relook at it once, especially in government when so much depends on the decisions we take. We need that also, but it saves so much time, it does it so fast, and I'm actually thankful that we are all living in an era where we can afford to be mediocre, incompetent, but still pretend to be very competent if you have ChatGPT with you. Thank you.
So currently, actually, we as faculty members are struggling to give assignments to students which they cannot use ChatGPT for. So probably we have to use ChatGPT to get that assignment too. So I think this is a thought process which is resonating since yesterday, that AI definitely is helping, but we cannot really make it our masters, right? It is making us, free for doing bigger things, probably. But those bigger things also we cannot kind of delegate to the AI, if we say so. But definitely, as you said, that many of these things which probably were unthinkable, like, this road traffic example that you get, is now possible, and possible probably at a much lesser cost and much more efficiently. So we are going probably in the right path, but as we again see that for every good use, there is an abuse also. So we may have to worry about that, and as policymakers, probably you are also looking at those aspects, and we will talk about this as we go on. But now I would like to request Sangeeta ma'am to share her introductory remarks.
Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me here. And thank you to all of you for spending a Saturday morning here listening to us. And we promise we'll try to make it interesting and short. From my side. All right, my promise. Short and interesting. So, this conference or conclave is about AI and automation. And I've been sitting through this since yesterday, and I find that most of us have focused on AI, but not much on automation. Whereas in public service delivery, in India currently, automation is equally important, perhaps more important, because we are still finding our way around AI and checking, okay, what are the ethics, what are the pluses, minuses, but automation is something which we have got right, and we have been doing. So my journey is the reverse of Balu sir. I was in government for a good 31 years, doing very well, but then I decided I wanted to follow my passion. So I am now from the government to the social sector. I now work on the intersection of international trade and climate change. So today I will try to talk about two things. The first thing is refunds, income tax refunds, and income tax online payments. So back in 2007 to 2009, I was in the Income Tax Systems Directorate in Delhi, which is the computerization department of the income tax. And I rolled out the refund banker. So that was a project where refunds would go directly into your accounts. Your generation will not imagine what taxpayers had to go through in those days to simply get a refund. And 80% of the grievances and 80% of the frustration and the bad blood and all the negative reputation the department was getting was because of refunds. People would not get refunds for more than a year. You have to go to the ITO multiple times, and you know everything that could, I'm sure you can imagine what would have happened. But the refund banker was the one where after you file your return, the refund will come directly into your account. So the interface between the taxman and the taxpayer, at least for refunds, was completely wiped out in that process. So I would like to speak a bit about that. The second project that I did in the same directorate was online tax payment. So today you guys, you just flash your phone somewhere and the payment goes through. But in 2009, taxpayers would have to stand in a queue outside a bank branch with 3 challans written down, and they would pay through a check or cash. They would pay their tax at the bank, and then there would be like room fulls of challans in government departments, physical hard copies. We had no clue who had paid what, where, how much, and there was complete chaos in the department, and hence also the refunds were getting delayed, because unless you account for everything, you cannot issue a refund. So I was in the directorate, but NSDL and State Bank of India, and at that time all other banks put together, we started the online tax payment system. It was a revolution at that time. I used to tell people very proudly that you can sit in your home in Nasik, even if you are assessed in Bangalore, and pay tax, and you will immediately know how much you have paid and all of that. That was one part of it. The second is that the tax accounting within the department became extremely easy, transparent, and efficient. So if today morning there are, let's say, 1 million people paying taxes through various branches of the country, today evening, each chief commissioner, even the ITO, the lowest, I mean the smallest disaggregated officer, I mean the smallest unit in the income tax department knows how much tax has been paid in his jurisdiction. So this is what the online tax payment achieved. It was largely automation. The word AI used to be in some stratospheric levels at that time. We had, oh, if you want to make a good speech, you use the word AI, big data, etc. But we had absolutely no clue about what it was. But that was automation. It served the department and the people of this country very well. So in the later part of the thing, I would like to speak on that. And the second part of what I would like to speak is on AI. I will not give AI a complete go-by. That is regarding climate governance. We are at a stage where there is a big north-south divide on climate change, historical emissions, carbon sequestration, all of that. So how is it that we can, this is my imagination of course, how is it that we can use AI to bring carbon emissions or carbon reduction credits to the smallest individual in this country and give them the credit that is due, especially in the rural areas. So these are the two parts of what I would like to speak a little earlier, automation and a bit of AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think, like if I look back, my parents, when they had to pay tax, this whole exercise would, start from February or something, when some CA would come to our home, and both my parents incidentally were in banks. So, and now for me, from the time I have started, so I probably, look at it on 30th July, and it's done. And I, for the last 4-5 years, this is improving. Every year, the time taken is actually less. And probably all my information is also there. So evasion or thoughts of evasion are also now evaded in a way. Another, when we talk of income tax, the another department, government department, which has really made life easy for Indians is the passport. Again, probably, the first time when I got a passport, I had to, go to, it was in Bombay only, so I had to go to the town, to the police station, and, because they made some goof up and all that. But since then, it has been like 3 days. Even before you realize, the passport is at home. So I guess these are two really, things that have touched us in a much, much enlightening way. But now I will move on to Ravi Shankar sir. And sir, your opening remarks, please.
Thank you, Poonam. And thank you, Ramananji, for giving me this opportunity to be here with this august panelist and the young students. So, this looks quite obscene that a 50-year-old should be talking about AI to 20+ people. So when I was coming here, my daughter has chastised me. Please don't bore them. So once Ramananji gave me this, for last 2 weeks, I have been taking reverse mentoring from my 2 children. My son is in 3rd year ICT here in Mumbai, and daughter is 2nd year GLC Law College at Churchgate. And I saw them, what they are doing with their assignments. so I know everything. And I also know how. And I also know why my daughter gets caught and my son doesn't get caught. There are tricks. And how you drive the AI is very important. Well, the topic is very well chosen, transforming governance through AI. The answer is a sounding yes, a very, very big yes. Government has already been transformed. Sangeeta has given one example of the refunds. Poonam has also given example. Sir has talked about Mysore Highway and how the fatalities rates have come down. So transformation
in governance is definitely going to happen. It's a big time, yes, whether we like it or whether we don't like it, whether we have reservations with AI. Already in your WhatsApp, they have rolled Meta, that's a AI. You will be surprised to know that they have not yet rolled out in France. In a way, we are guinea pigs. They will learn from our experience over here. In fact, we will be training them. So for last 2 weeks, I have put Meta to severe kind of test, including generative AI capabilities. So they are all learning, and Indians are very smart. That there is another research report, I'm forgetting who did it, that chat GPT users, maximum numbers are here in developing countries, India, Indonesia. And this AI is going to only democratize computer coding, large language models, and many of the jargons that you people, some of you maybe hear from humanities, social sciences, who do not know. Tomorrow, there's not going to be much difference between you and IIT Bombay Computer Science, who would have got rank 1 to 50. So, I'm here to talk about not transformation, but the opportunities which are coming up. So before I talk about that, I would like to know how many of you, and mark my word, how many of you eventually, not immediately, but eventually want to become self-employed or entrepreneurs? Kindly raise hands. Good, but I'm a bit disappointed. So my request, Director Saab has just left to Poonam and to Ramananji to talk to the director. Please have a session for them on future of jobs. Very important. Otherwise, you guys can Google. There are many reports by McKinsey, reports by Bloomberg, by the World Economic Forums. Jobs scenario is going to completely change. 9 to 5 job is going to change. In future, more and more people will be self-employed. The size of governance, you have heard about this, maximum governance, minimum government. Many people think that this is Jumla. No, actually this is not a Jumla. This has indeed happened. Over the years, size of income tax department has gone down. But our efficiency, our cost of collection, which was 1.36% of total tax collected in 2000-2001, has come down to 0.57% in 2013-14 and 0.51% in 2021-22. Is going to be somewhere close to 0.25% when it will stabilize around 2040 or something like that. So size of the department is going down, not only income tax, but many other departments, state governments also. So some of you, like my brother-in-law was here, he graduated from this institution, is in civil services, has worked in World Bank for 5 years. Some of you may be thinking of civil services. We do not know what's going to be the future. He has already scared us that he's going to do competency mapping. I don't know what will happen to me. Okay, so why I am talking about this self-employment? We have heard about China experience, and China's taking edge in manufacturing. That was the decade of China. No longer now. I also do not know whether they teach you Li and Feng story. That's a case study of new age manufacturing coming here. The manufacturing is going to take place in small bits. Additive manufacturing is going to be a very big thing. The Maruti is preparing for additive manufacturing for last 5 years. And I can tell you, because I was investment commissioner in government of Bihar, they were looking for land. In each district of India, they want to have a 2-acre workshop. Why? Because they feel that the future is going to be electric vehicles or hydrogen, and where you do not need integrated manufacturing. You will be doing additive manufacturing. Many of these additive manufacturing, many parts of the manufacturing will get broken down into small pieces. And you guys will be doing it. So you have to seriously think, when you are thinking about graduating from this class, don't think about package. Think about what life you want to take and which company is going to give you the best experience to prepare into that life. AI is severely going to disrupt jobs, more jobs in government, more jobs in private sector. Now take for example, recently you would have read about 3D printed post office in Bangalore. Okay. Who did it? L&T in collaboration with IIT Madras. This is an example of additive manufacturing. Who is the client? Government of India, because it's a P&T department. Why Government of India is a client? We want to give more jobs. There is a political demand to give more jobs. But why I am a client? Because I have to do mass housing. This was done in 43 days flat. 1,021 square feet of post office is done in 43 days and at a cost of 2,500 rupees per square foot. This is going to go down. This will definitely go down in future. Many of the things are very easy to do. You people are experiencing it, but you people are already doing what is very amateurish AI, because when you want to do something deeper, they will tell you you can't do, we are suggesting you tools, you please, and all those tools are, paid tools. So, very important thing, and please Google, I am forgetting the name of the case law. In Delhi High Court, somewhere around 2009 or 10, a matter went, and Delhi High Court ruled that government servants cannot use any website or email whose servers are outside India. So this judgment of Delhi High Court was not challenged. So this has become accepted norm. Subsequently, DOPT came with a circular that we cannot use it. Okay, fine, we cannot use it. Sir is saying that there are 20 million government servants. I was checking with some data that it says 50 million government servants. I do not know how many government servants are there. But how many government email IDs are there? NIC has given 5 to 7 lakh only. Clearly, they don't have the bandwidth. Who is going to create that bandwidth? Government need partners. Okay, so this is one example. Now, this all, when we talk about AI, we also talk about data security, especially in income tax, because there is a legislation, section 138, that you cannot divulge the information pertaining to a taxpayer. It can have consequences. Husband, wife are fighting, there is a competition, corporate rivalry, and all those things are there. How will you protect it? When I was with government of Bihar, our CM was very particular, and there was COVID time, that he will not use Zoom or WebEx. So Beltron quickly did something and evolved its own video conferencing network. Today in income tax, we use WebEx. Now WebEx is a US firm, Cisco. So it is slower than Zoom, slower than Google Meet. But in government, we use it because we think it is more safe. But then it is again in violation of the circular of DOPT. It's in violation of the High Court judgment also. Then WhatsApp is being very prevalently used. So on my government mobile, I keep a feature phone for government number. I don't use a smartphone at all. So my new boss came, he said, please join the WhatsApp link. It's very common, you form a WhatsApp group. So CPRG also has formed a WhatsApp group. Poonam is admin. Now, WhatsApp group, we are doing something. So many things we are sharing. Don't think that ISRO is not using. They are also using. So after so many years, why India and you guys cannot build a WhatsApp in this country? Why you cannot build Instagram? Why you cannot build TikTok? Another thing is that when we are talking about data safety and security and AI infrastructure, we need lot of data centers. Data centers is a business which is growing at a mind-boggling pace, more than 35% per annum. That's the growth rate. And still it is not, there are not enough. Who is going to build? There are many aspects. There is a brick and mortar aspect of it. There is a power aspect of it. There is a air conditioning aspect of it. Then there is the data architecture aspect of it. All these people. Government is going to be the biggest consumer of AI, and the AI industry or AI revolution in India will be propelled by the government. And I want to see you all in a position where you are supplying this information, these services to the government. I'll give you one example. I was talking to students of IIT Bombay. I'm also helping setting up a AI studio for film industry here in Bombay with the help of Mr. Amit Pandey, who developed this Sophia Robotics. We have paid 4,000 crore rupees to Infosys for ITBA version 2. Okay, we commissioned them in 2019. It was rolled out in 2021. It has done a great job. Today we are processing 8.5 crore income tax returns at lesser manpower because many people who retired, many positions which retired, we never filled them up. Some posts we have abolished also. And there are scopes to abolish or cut short the department even more. The department, many people feel, I also feel, it has become top heavy. There is a scope of reduction in the department, income tax department, at least by 60 to 70%. So who is going to do all this? How is this reduction in government sizes happening? It is happening through automation, through contract, through outsourcing. So in contract, you are there. In outsourcing, you are there. In automation, you are there. Now, many people here in Bombay believe that the work that Infosys did in 4,000 crore in 2019, and Infosys was not happy. They were cribbing that this is a very small amount. They can do it in today's technology with only 400 crore rupees. This is what the young graduates of IIT Bombay Computer Science think. So see, this is an opportunity for you people that you team up. Call Chairman CBDT, call Revenue Secretary, or call FM. Tell them that, sir, we are here to give you presentation. We issue refunds worth 5 lakh crores every year. Now, many commissioner appeals, we have problem. What is the problem? Somebody has uploaded photocopies. We do not know what is this, how genuine is this photocopy. Based upon that photocopy, today that there is a faceless regime, I have to give them relief. It's very easy to do fraud. But here the role of blockchain technology is there. If the documents which are embedded with blockchain, fraud will be difficult. So these are the types of architecture that you can build. During the COVID times, in government of Bihar, I was dealing with, because every officer was given some task to deal with the COVID. There are 75,000 ASHA workers. What are they? They are foot soldiers of health department in every state of India. So they move from door to door collecting data. Now, who is going to build a data collection architecture for them? Now it's going to be completely new. Like earlier we were on the desktop, then came the smartphone. So very many softwares, many websites that you are making, these are smartphone first. The earlier generation is gone. Now the many websites and many things, many computers or mobiles will come, they will be AI first. So who are going to make these designs? These are the places where you have a role, and that is why if you are at 40, you are a CEO of a company, and suddenly tomorrow somebody comes and he tells you that, okay, thank you, we no longer need you. You have a house, you have a Mercedes, you have children studying, and suddenly you are paying EMI. This is going to be the future. I don't want to scare you, but I just want to make you aware of things which are coming. Therefore, please think seriously. And this is the city of Bombay. Bombay teaches you entrepreneurship. Learn something somewhere, but ultimately evolve into an entrepreneur or a self-employed professional, and mind it, there is so much of work with the government that there are not enough people to deliver to the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that futuristic talk, if I may say. I think you were referring to the IIM Ahmedabad paper, which has just come, which does this analysis on like what people are, thinking about with this AI coming in. Yesterday also we had that discussion. So, like, of course, probably more number of people than what they have raised their hand for are going to become entrepreneurs, because that is the trend that we are seeing, that, once people start working, they realize that there are many things that they want to do, which they can do only if they have their own setup, etc. And at the same time, they are also going to create more different kind of jobs. I'm sure it's not going to be all proprietorship companies that, one person does everything. The only thing probably as, policymakers or as academic institutions that we have to think is that, do we make these people ready for now, which is where the jobs probably will get obsolete in, next 5-10 years, which we are able to visualize, or our trainings should also be futuristic, and at the same time, we devise reskilling, etc., at the pace at which AI is developing, so that they are future ready. That is how I feel. And of course, the innovation and the creativity which we are born with, that will take care of us. Somehow, I want to have that faith. I think it was a really mesmerizing, opening remarks from all of you. I have not kept track of time at all. So, but moving on, I would now start with Sangeeta ma'am. And ma'am, if you can, follow up on your opening remarks, especially on the climate change side, because this is something very evolving and new, and probably more complex. So, ma'am, over to you.
So thank you for allowing me some more time. Yes, I will go to the climate change part, but on the automation bit, because I think automation is still quite important, especially in public services delivery, and I'm sure some of you will end up somewhere around public services delivery in your careers. There were just 2 or 3 things which I wanted to mention. Whenever we are automating any service, it is extremely important to do a very careful, very granular and a 360 degrees assessment of the processes involved. Because once you automate, it's not really a line drawn on stone, but it is more or less like that. So before you really automate a process, it is important to understand exactly what happens when you're going to issue refunds or when taxes are going to be paid online. Before you really create the software, it is important to know all the problems that are being faced by both the service providers as well as the users of the service. And therefore, consultation is very important. Sometimes in government, we always have deadlines, right? Abhi karo, kal chahiye, all of that. And then we do that in a hurry. I think that's exactly what happened with Infosys as well. And I can well imagine, having been in the directorate when everybody wanted the task to have been completed yesterday, but the software guys were saying, no, we need 1 more month. And we were saying, we should have completed it much earlier. So it is important to carefully assess the processes and also the hiccups that have been happening. That is actually your what shall I say, training already there for you, and it's important to take that. And every issue that arises should have a built-in solution in the automation process itself. Later on, you cannot do anything. Many of you must have gone through this experience that in any automated process, if things go smoothly, they are super good and they're super efficient. But if there is any small hiccup, you are stuck. and you can never, it is very difficult to get out of it. So that is something that I just wanted to share with you in case any of you end up in any public services delivery space. All right. On the AI bit, you see, climate change is here for all of us. It is on our doorstep. There's a storm brewing in the Arabian Sea, and we all know that earlier on, the Bay of Bengal, which is on our eastern coast, that was where the storms used to happen, but nowadays storms have also started raging in the Arabian Sea. There is climate change, oceans are warming up, etc., etc. I won't go into climate change right now. But carbon emissions are now deemed to be the biggest villain in the climate change story, okay? So all governments are now trying to reduce carbon emissions and also to sequestrate carbon, to take carbon from the atmosphere and bring it back onto Earth, etc., etc. There is also the historical carbon emissions issue where developed countries have historically emitted a lot more carbon. There's a very small carbon budget remaining, and carbon remains in the atmosphere for 500 years or more sometimes, etc., etc., right? Now, India is doing its bit, although I think per capita, if you see India's per capita carbon emissions, they are like if you draw a bar graph, India's per capita carbon emissions would be somewhere here, and the developed countries would be somewhere of this size. But even then, India is trying every bit in its own way to reduce its emissions and also to encourage carbon sequestration. Although India has a huge unfinished developmental agenda, right? But still we are trying to reduce carbon emissions in the EITE sectors, which is energy intensive and trade exposed. So steel, fertilizers, electricity, etc., etc., right? Now, this is one part of it where it is the industry's responsibility to reduce industrial carbon emissions. But on the other hand, India is also trying out things like the green credit scheme. Anyone heard of it? I don't know. All right, great, nice. So the green credit scheme is somewhere where certificates will be given for things like tree plantation, for water management, water conservation, treatment, waste management, circularity, in-waste management, air pollution, sustainable agriculture, etc., etc. Now, Government of India has currently come up with notifications which say that a minimum of, I think, 5 hectares of, let's talk about tree plantation because that is what is getting firmed up right now. A minimum of 5 hectares will be required and a minimum of 1100 trees per hectare. So it is all something that can be taken up by huge enterprises, right? 5 hectares is not a small piece of land, and planting 1100 trees per hectare is not a small piece of land. So that is where Government of India has just begun. But I wonder if we can use AI capabilities to bring this change or these new, what shall I say, climate activism to the smallest individual. For example, a new AI model has been built where you can remote sense the height of trees to 1 meter, okay? So if a tree grows even 1 meter or a canopy extends, tree canopy extends by 3 meters, that can be remotely sensed. Therefore, measuring growth of trees, measuring number of trees, measuring how the size of the canopy, measuring the carbon that is getting reduced or fixed through the tree cover, all that is now possible through AI. And the more we fine-tune the AI delivery in this sector, the more we can give the benefits to even a single individual. Let's say I'm a small farmer and I can maximum plant 5 trees in whatever land I have. Why should that farmer not also get the green credit? That is truly democratizing climate action, which is currently only, what shall I say, limited only to very large enterprises. But I think in a country like India with our very huge population, it is necessary to take climate action even to the level of the individual. So that is one place where AI can be used. And there are multiple others, but I've promised that I'll be short, right? So I will only stick to the green cover and the tree plantation and the use of AI for climate action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think this, the scalability issue that, especially if I take the example of MSMEs, they face, if AI can help in that, not only from the perspective of, climate change or sustainable uses, but generally, I mean, sir had mentioned about additive manufacturing. Across the spectrum, if we can use this would do definitely that change we were saying from micro to small and small to medium. That can happen quite fast, probably. Now I will go to Balu sir. I want to leave the concluding remarks to you, sir. But so we have been talking about this, human AI, interventions and connect and all that. So with respect to the HR commission work that you have mentioned, where probably for the first time in government, competency is given such a important weightage. Like, I'm not from a proper government place, but that is what an outsider's feeling is. So there, when we talk about this algorithmic bias, etc., how that interplay is going to work out, and how the human intervention will then try to stop it. Because everything, the reliance is on machines, then I'm not sure whether it's the right future.
No, it's a challenge all of us are grappling with, because equity is an important aspect of governance. In the space of egalitarianism, we got to, that's all technology enabled, easily doable, right? Like refunds, etc., is fairness and justice. I get my money back in 2 weeks, it's doable. But how do one of the important things we try to teach our bureaucrats is empathy. And machines are empathy agnostic, right? They don't really think about people and stuff like that. So it's a constant challenge that we're looking at, because citizen footprint is mostly at state government's level. The national government has got a very minimal citizen footprint, maybe in income tax and GST. Even that is becoming faceless. So essentially, they're not looking at it. But let me, since we have two direct tax officers, or earlier also officer on the direct taxes, it's very nice to say I get my refund in 2 weeks, but faceless transaction has got a challenge too. I, as running an NGO, my file for assessment was picked up by somebody in Odisha who has absolutely no idea what an NGO is, right? And he keeps raising issues, and I keep getting emails. And whenever our assessment was happening at Mysore, I could go to the deputy commissioner or the ITO and explain, and he would understand in 10 minutes my job is done. But whereas here, it was so frustrating that it took me 14 months to finally get across to whoever is managing the machines, etc., the human interface, how it worked at that time, I didn't know. To even get that idea across, it's very frustrating. It looks as far away from citizen centricity as you can. So we are now trying to say, what are the elements of governance where you actually need a human interface? We're trying to map it out. Where you don't need direct bank transfers, we don't want human interface. But that is possible today only because of JAM, right? That means it's very technology enabled. But identifying the right person to make sure inclusivity happens, it's still, unfortunately, in India, we still have situations where people don't have a smartphone, though it's spreading hugely. They don't have an Aadhaar card, they don't have a bank account. You need a human interface there. So now the government, though it's going to minimum governance mode, it's looking at how do you enlist partners. That's what Jan Bhagidari is all about. Can we work with self-help groups? Can we work with NGOs, and they could become the interface? That's one side of the story. The other side of the story is how are we actually using, and those of you who come to Delhi, especially young people should visit this, because we don't imagine how far advanced governance is today. At Niti Aayog, we have something called the Vikasit Bharat Control Room. It's a huge, beautifully laid out thing, like in the movies, like the old Star Trek movies, the screens. Now, all our officers across the country, they're all constantly working on policy. We were talking about machines and automation. I really like what you said. Now, everybody brings out a policy and everybody says it's so important that we have to be contextual. Now, a policy that's prepared in Gujarat, an officer in Karnataka will refuse to look at it because Gujarat alag hai. हम तो कर्नाटका में रहते हैं, तो ये तो अलग है. So what Vikasit Bharat Control Room does, the algorithm, is because the data, if you put it onto the internet, it goes haywire and hallucinates. However, we reduced it, is we allow it to only operate on the data we have fed it. So every single policy that has been prepared in Government of India, most 80% of the states have responded. A few states obviously are very stubborn. All the policies have been classified based on area of domain area. Like if it's something to, I'll give an example, child policies, child protection policies. Every single policy related to child protection, every single program related to child protection is all fed into it. So if I'm a young IAS officer commissioned suddenly by my government to say, bring out the best possible child protection policy, I would have to break my head about it. Now, the Vikasit Bharat Control Room, I have access to it from my offices, from my desktop. I don't have to come to Delhi for that. All data of my state disaggregated to the extent which the states have given. If the states have given more rich data, it will be richer. Is already there on the Vikasit Bharat. So I'll say this data today, 2024, looking at the historical policies I have of my state, of all the policies of rest of the states in Government of India, can you help prepare and write a policy for me for child protection? It will actually throw it out for you. And there, it does everything. It gets out the best possible policy with data which is really reasonably clean. But then the human interfaces, I look at it and say, how does it relate to my state? And I use it today. And we're already doing it. So and in Lavasna today, where we train young officers in the foundation course, we have put up a similar Vikasit Bharat Control Room where we expose them to that and say, from the time you're doing your foundation course, entry level of, and all cadres come there. Learn how to use this, but at the same time, it will give you all information, but you have to finally be that human being there. We'll counter check it and say, is it good enough? We can get out policies today in 5 minutes. That's all it takes for us to review it, right? And so India is moving at a fast pace. That's why I would really validate what you say. We are really going towards maximum governance, minimum government. Is it good, bad? Is a different story. Is it political, in the political economy we live in, is it a say-level proposition? I don't want to talk about it. But reality is, everybody is part of government today. And that's why when you call them all to join it, Jan Bhagidari is not government separate, citizen separate. We are all in our role, and that technology can make that, enable that. And we can all be part of running this country in our own ways.
Thank you very much. Like, the addressing the diversity and heterogeneity is something very critical for a country like India. And if we are able to balance that with technology and human intervention, that I think is a great way to have a start. Sir, over to you now. And in addition to probably what you would want to say, I have a question or pointer. Like, you have actually given a direction to our students, and that's why I kept you at the end, about what all they can think in terms of future career options, and more so partnering with the government, because as of now, the government route was always the one which you have probably taken, like through the civil services and all that. But now, as you mentioned, that there are more consulting happening, and private participation is happening, not necessarily through one route. So there, if you can throw more light, and how as academic institutions also we can partner in this journey, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come to your query a bit later, but let me first expound upon what Balu just said. He has his experiences with the tax return of the NGO. Many of us have similar experiences, but I can assure you one thing, that the AI and the use of AI in income tax department, and not just income tax department, but the indirect tax department also, and in any government department of Government of India or a state government, it is designed in such a way that there is always a manual override. And that is the biggest safety to you. Without manual override, these things will go haywire. Only yesterday, I got a call. I was going to my office. I got a call from my colleague, a batchmate. His friend's son, a student of IIT Bombay, and while he was preparing for civil services, now he is an IAS, he has 3 lakh rupees, which he has reinvested multiple times. Okay, and then forgotten about it. Taxes were all deducted. So department got hold of it. Our AI system got hold of it, and they sent notices. Then it went to INCI. INCI has a very dreadful name. It is called Intelligence and Criminal Investigation. So he gets a notice. He is about to go to LBS Missouri, and he gets a notice for INCI. What will happen to his career and all? Okay. Then INCI could not solve his problem. So it came to me, and 31st August was today is the last date. I'll go to office from here. So then we said, don't worry. He has given these kind of replies that is there. We'll check it. So I immediately checked it back, and informed him that I'm happy to inform you that our manual system has completely overridden the AI report. And he has been freed from the charges of dealing in cryptocurrency. I really don't know what happened, where it happened. But instead of the normal dealings that he has done, it has become cryptocurrency. And his reassessment notice was there. So we dropped the reassessment notices. Taxes were all paid. Tax was deducted. There was not much. And they were. So this is to tell you that the way government works, even the most inefficient state government also, there is always a government servant overriding the AI. So this is one thing. Now, second thing is what you need to tell. What you need to tell people, these students, and this is something upon which Sangeeta has slightly deliberated, that when you are going to your client, tomorrow you'll be, when you have your own business, going to your client, please put maximum time on understanding the business process of that organization. Now, business process has 2 parts. One is the written part, which is the written office procedure manual, whether government servant or whether government department or private department. Then there is an unwritten part. Both are very important. And then you have to sit down with those people. If there is any lack in mapping, then there will be trouble in future. And there is no rocket science to it. You have to visit, revisit, keep visiting again and again, and you just have to improve your system again and again and again. When in this country, we got nota button on EVM, if you open the Supreme Court judgment, you'll be surprised to find how the nota activist won this case. Because they said that under the earlier act, there was a system for cancelling the vote, that you can go to the center and you can take the paper, fold it, cross it, fold it, and put it into the ballot box. When we moved over from that system to EVM, in transition, there was a loss. So some of you who are electrical engineers will say T&D loss is there. So in BPO processes also, there are these kind of T&D losses, which is very important. And this should not happen. Second is this human override. So after talking this, I come to a bit of a jargon. What is the jargon? 4th industrial revolution is a passe. Please don't talk about it. Must talk about 5th industrial revolution. Why? Because it says 5th industrial revolution is about humans working with humanoids, AI-enabled robots, about sustainability, as madam was embarking upon. These are the things. You must have to keep human first. Now suppose, because you people are using AI very often, supposing you have to give a prompt. to your AI that there is a classic Abhigyan Shakuntalam from Kalidas. So when Dushyant meets Shakuntala for the first time, it is described, there is a context, you give that context, and then you give the last scene. So it is very important to design the first scene and the last scene. Entire in between, if there are in between 99 frames, all those 99 frames AI will do, which otherwise earlier in CGI, the computer graphics, it will take a lot of time and lot of money also. It will do at a fraction of cost and fraction of time. But who is the king here? Who is the boss? You are the boss. Because you will decide what prompt you are giving to AI. Machine cannot give those kind of prompts. The intelligent prompts will be given by humans also, always by the human int. There is never any substitute for human intelligence. Artificial intelligence will remain subservient. I have absolutely no fear that one day AI will take over. I have this complete faith in humanity and human intelligence. Both human intelligence and human stupidity also, which makes us more human. So this is going to be there. So low-end jobs will be lost. Data porting, data kuligiri, that will be lost. Don't focus. If you think this is something which I cannot do well, there is somebody who can do better. Don't go into that stream. If you think that you can make bread better, you can make bread better than the rest of the market, please go and do that. There is so much of options today. But focus on that, focus on visualization. There is no substitute for visualization and creativity. It is your visualization. When we are doing a very small thing like giving a prompt to AI for your homework or assignment or presentation, 2 people, 3 people will come with 3 different results depending upon who has given the prompt more smartly. This is the lesson that you have to take care and learn from your such colleagues, and you will always stay at top of AI. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would open the floor for 2 very quick questions. Please keep your questions brief. Yes, Ronak.
So I have a question regarding the green credits. I have read that the last year itself government has taken that scheme. But I see the challenges, the 2 challenges. The one is there are the many different categories in which the green credits are created. So the challenge here is that how you assess and the trade different type of schemes. Because what happens is that when you are trading it, so the carbon credits which you are generating, so you should have the equivalent part. So for all different kind of like categories. But right now what's happening is that we have buckets of that, so the tradability part is less and liquidity is also less. And the second challenge which I notice is that, so the reliability of the credit, there are many few, Vera is there so to assess the credibility of that, but you have mentioned that the AI is there, so it is assessing like the canopy, how much it's growing, but still how the person who is buying, they can be assured that the credits are generated is correct. So how government is working on that?
So you are actually hit the nail on the head. Those are exactly the issues which Government of India is slowly trying to resolve, right? So at this moment, the green credit, 1 green credit is not equal to 1 ton of carbon. Okay, we need to come to that space. We will come there slowly because there is emissions verification, there is emissions measurement, there is emissions, equivalence, as you said. So these are the issues which Government of India will, I think, slowly. It's not easy. We still don't have the science in India particularly to measure all of this. So how much does, suppose the green canopy grows by 14 square meters and 1 meter high, how much emissions reduction does that imply? We do not have the calculations very clearly right now. Therefore, at this point, the green credit is just the green credit. It is not tradable as a carbon credit. right? But even that, I was talking about the democratization of the green credit. But I'm sure that in the coming years and quite soon, we will be able to trade the green credit with 1 ton of carbon emissions. So the questions that you have raised are absolutely valid, and Government of India is still dealing with all of those. We have not actually come at the end of the journey. It's just a good beginning of a good journey. That's about it.
Good afternoon, ma'am, sir. So my question is regarding the legal system. Any of you can answer it. Ma'am, considering the current outburst of the crimes against women, specifically in the rape case, which we are all aware about. So, what's your opinion about how we can use AI in transforming the legal system, considering the number of cases which are pending with the courts, Indian courts, and how we can lessen or reduce the crimes which are happening in specific issues?
I don't think I should comment on it. I can only share something which I read as an article. As part of sentiment analysis, ETH Zurich, the college was doing some analysis. I know some of the people who worked in that project. They were actually analyzing judgments of the different Swiss courts, and the kind of judges, the kind of lawyers arguing the case, and they also saw the kind of dresses the lawyers used to wear, the kind of dress the judges to wear, the language they spoke. Based on that, with the 95% predictability, they could say what kind of judge in what situation, in front of what lawyer gives what kind of judgment. And so I was fascinated. You can actually predict, without even having a case itself, you can predict what kind of judgment comes out. Maybe if things become more and more validated and it is tested out, with the full disclosure that I have no idea of the subject, I only read that article and I'm talking from that. Maybe we can use it in Indian courts. They're clogged with that. But that being said, I think when Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya was the Chief Justice, we didn't have AI, we didn't have all this. A simplistic analysis was done, and they could project how much of caseload will happen 5 years from today, 10 years from today, what are the caseload today, and considering the crime patterns from data from NCRB, etc., they could say which are the areas in which crimes are likely to happen against women. It's historical data. Now things have changed. People are registering complaints more now, so it could be different. And they said, how early can we clear all those cases and prepare ourselves for what kind of cases will come in the future? That report was submitted to the he was the Chief Justice at that time. I don't know what happened after that, but this is something I know. But today with AI, those kind of analysis, it took him 9 months for the study to be published. Today, maybe in 9 days, they can give a report and say what kind of things can be done. It's a very rudimentary answer. It only shows my ignorance and little that I know about the subject. I think my colleagues would know more.
So I think I'll try to look at it from multiple perspectives. It's not a linear thing. It has multiple dimensions. It's a very weird thing that this incident happened in RG car at West Bengal. West Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, these are known as one of the best states in terms of respect of women. If you check the National Crime Register, the least amount of crime against women would be found in Bengal and Bihar. Still it has happened. Now, why certain states have less crime against women and certain states have more crime against women, like Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, parts of Odisha, Assam, Delhi. Delhi is called crime capital of India. Why? This is a very simple thing to understand. This has completely to do with the sociology. I won't answer it. You all people understand. Leave it at that part. But important thing is that why in this country certain parts can have more respect for women and certain parts cannot have, and why we must change this mindset. So this is, in fact, this is the root part of this. Now we come to the enforcement part, because I am a government servant responsible for enforcement. One thing you all must keep in mind, some people will work here in India, some will go out. About the Indian enforcement system, they call it soft enforcement culture. Middle East or even USA, they call it hard enforcement culture. They do less number of cases, whether financial crime cases or IPC, criminal crime cases. They do less number of cases. But in those lesser number of cases, they mete out exemplary justice within no time. You would have heard of Boris Baker going to, or many big shot people going to. When you do lesser number of cases, but give a very decisive judgment. And in the judgment, there are two parts. The bureaucracy, whether the police or financial crime guys, direct, indirect taxes. This is one part. Second part is judiciary. So judiciary is soft, enforcement is soft. It is because of this that we have soft culture, and it is for you young people to change this. I'll give you one example right now, right here in Bombay. How many of you have gone to US consulate in Bombay for taking US visa? Please raise hands. Okay, 2, 3, couple of people. Now, when you are going to US consulate, you are quite jittery. You prepare a lot. There are many things for which you prepare. You don't want to make mistakes. Why? They do not have IPC, they do not have CRPC. Why you are? Because you know very well that you make one wrong declaration, you'll be blacklisted for 5 years. No sunwai, nothing. You are blacklisted. That is why you do not want to take chance. Here in India, you know that police or tax officials, you can take chance with them. You can take chance with judiciary also. The biggest challenge when I was implementing World Bank Invest India program, all parameters we successfully completed. Our ranking has to go up. Which parameter we lacked? We lacked the parameter of judicial reforms, because judiciary is soft. Lower judiciary is pathetic. And it is because of this, if states are not doing good, India's rank will also not be good. In all other parameters, in last 10 years, we have done fantastic job. Phenomenal job has been done all over India, in all the states. It's that part. Parts of those parts of Invest India ranking where there are judicial things. Now, how this culture is going to change? You guys, because this is a cultural thing. The technology can only bring superficial changes to this aspect. What we can do, we can club cases. Technology can very easily club cases, which was not otherwise possible earlier. You club 200 cases, have a mass hearing, decide those 200 cases. This is possible by technology. But culture change is not possible by technology. Only humans can do the culture change. So please take lessons from India itself, why certain parts are more respectful and certain parts are not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I actually want to thank you for the question, because I think we are talking about, many social issues where AI is intervening. But this part, I don't know, it is really a very important and critical area. And it's a food for thought probably that all of us would carry. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You can then
No
conclude afterwards. There is one very important discussion that took place in my office with IMA, Indian Medical Association, 2 days back. So in that, we were seriously discussing about wearable devices. Wearable devices, in future we will have embedded devices also. Pacemaker is one example of a embedded device. Now, in medical field, there are many devices being made by General Electric and Siemens where they are monitoring your pulse, BP, uh, ECG, EEG, all these things, and feedback is being sent in real time to your doctor. Now, if medical field is catching those information, it is very easy, because if what happens when my class teacher comes and I'm playing, my pulse starts racing. So sudden racing of pulse can be caught. What if my hands or legs are immobilized? All these things can be caught, and information can be provided to the nearest police station, to your local guardian, to your best friend. So these things are possible. Don't leave everything to government. And why this is, I'm saying this is a very important thing, nothing to do with current political philosophy, but everything to do with indigenous thinking. In India, we believe in Advaita, monism, that there is no difference between God and worshipper. We are Tat Tvam Asi Aham Brahmasmi. So there is actually no difference between governed and governor. You are both governor and governed. Don't wait for somebody, some element of bureaucracy or governance to come and do things to you. You govern yourself. And therefore, these wearable devices, I believe, and they can become more and more smart in future, will be very, very helpful. This is what IMA also believes.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the way you have, closed this, I have nothing more to add, because yesterday when I had only started this as a host, I had talked about, the philosophy of AI and, consciousness and all of that. And you have ended with an Advaita reference. So I think we will stop at that. I guess this session has been really, really eye-opening to a lot of us. We carry a lot of thoughts, and this is just a beginning of a conversation which needs to be, done many a times. That's where I would, and on that note, I would, on behalf of IIM Mumbai, I would like to invite all three of you, on more occasions to come and interact from our students. This is just a minuscule of the numbers that we have. We really want all of them to hear you. So on that note, I will close this. We can move down for a photograph, a group photograph, and then we sit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I would once again like to thank the August panel for a very insightful discussion on how AI and automation are making governance and public service delivery more efficient, while also increasing environmental accountability, and leaving us with the question, if human intelligence can ever be outplayed by artificial intelligence. Well, we now move towards the last session of this conclave, which is the closing session. And for that, I would like to invite Director Sir, Ramananji, and Professor Sanjeev Verma to please come on the stage. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. In this session, we'll have the closing remarks by Director Sir, followed by a presentation and an overview. Well, before that, we'll have an address and closing remarks by Ramananji. And in the end, we'll have a brief presentation by Professor Sanjeev Verma. Right. No presentation? All right. Brief summary of the entire conclave will be presented by Professor Sanjeev Verma. I would now like to request Director Sir to please take this forward.
Respected Balaji, CSO Sahab, and Madam Goodbole ji, my colleagues here and guests, and dear students. In fact, while listening the powerful discussion among the three very knowledgeable and well-informed experts, I thought that let us come to the main topic, which was the core of this particular conclave. That is artificial intelligence, particularly in the economic policies and growth. So idea is this, there are many, ongoing topics which are connected with this, like how the AI going to help the different, policies and programs which are being implemented currently under the different schemes of the government, like how the goods and service tax, Make in India initiative, and then there are foreign exchange reserves, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Bharat Mala and Sagar Mala, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So they are all some of the game changers, particularly with respect to bringing the economy to such a high level. And whether these programs, they are able to imbibe or have the space for application of the AI and generative AI. During the discussion, you might have heard there was a talk that AI and automation. So, Madam told that automation has not much covered here. But idea is this particular word, AI and automation, basically it's some sort of softer automation, because we know automation has many categories. So earlier when hardware automation was there, where idea was that we have PLCs, we have a different kind of coding for the PLCs, languages for that, or even there were interfaces with the screens. So those were the beginning of the automation when we started with the numerical control programming, then computer numerical control programming. So that era was something up to 1990, 2000, 2010. The moment we come with the screen, Android and digital platforms, so sea changes has taken place because of the wearable devices, IoTs, and some sort of button concepts that has came into the chips and other advanced features. So more and more softer version has taken place, and those hard versions were removed. So because of that, smart automation come into picture. In smart automation, there was added ability to have some inbuilt algorithm to take decisions, and which was earlier missing in the hard automation. And earlier in hard automation, there were ways to include something, but the method of enabling it to make decision maker was more technical and more challenging because of the things like GPU and all those things that you require, those were quite complicated actually. So technically speaking, what are the different forms of the AI which are taking place at present? So if you go, it started with the generative, currently the AI, then Internet of the Things, big data, cloud computing, and then augmentation, AR, VR, augmented and virtual realities, then control tower, digital twin, robotics and automation processes called RAP actually, and then you have autonomous vehicles, additive manufacturing, cyber security, and currently generative AI. So if you see the generative AI part, that is basically what is we call GPT. That is generative pre-trained transformers. This pre-trained means we have a lot of data that is to be given. Transformer means it's architecture where BART and double coders, encoders were used actually to take up the processing with the help of deep learning, CNN, and many other complex, algorithms which translates, because many of those who are not aware of the CS, computer science and IT, they say that, okay, there is a bias in the algorithm. So certainly we can do the biasing, but biasing need to be captured through some sort of, methodology, data checking, that why it takes X side more, Y side less. So these are all some of the clever tricks, but they are software tricks which need to be checked, and many competition commission of the world and others, they have very safeguards to see that such kind of particular tailoring of the algorithm in that direction need to be checked. And then based on this ChatGPT, generative AI, there are many other forms are coming up. In days to come, you may witness what we are listening from the different literature, that next era is a knowledge engineering, where we have knowledge graphs, where we have knowledge meshes, which are linking different kind of knowledge graph ideas. And then we have a slightly different language, which is called LLM actually, large language models, correct? And those things are going to be the main features where we are heading in that. I think with those things, then there will be some more checks and balances, because what Mr. Srivastav ji mentioned that human ko hatana muskil hai. बहुत सही बात है, because many times machine do this kind of mistakes also, and human also completes many kind of mistakes like this, correct? आप सोचो, मान लो सपोज कोई एक जस्ट यू पुट समथिंग लाइक, एक ऐसा जोक बताओ जो मेडिसिन से कनेक्टेड हो, हेल्थ से कनेक्टेड हो, एंड झगड़ा से कनेक्टेड हो, करेक्ट? तो उसमें क्या ऐसे आएगा, somebody ask कि सवेरे से सिर दर्द था, बहुत तरह गोली खाया, ठीक नहीं हुआ, जब फोन उठा के हस्बैंड से आधा घंटा लड़ी तब जाके ठीक हुआ जो है। अब मान लो इस तरह का जो मतलब आएगा, so that can also have to say somebody says prompt, a better prompt. Means you can say 100 type of joke, but prompt आप कैसे देते हो, उससे काफ़ी आंसर निकल के सामने आता है, ठीक है? Similarly, you see many times in birthday cakes, you write name, correct? Somebody's name is say तपस्या, बट मान लो टाइप करने वाला थोड़ा सा मिस्टेक कर दिया, आइसिंग लगाना बस, या समस्या के बजाय तपस्या कर दिया, तो क्या होगा, मतलब तपस्या बिकेम समस्या, देन घर में you can imagine. So like this, such kind of mistakes, if it is done by human or by machine, both are slightly always leading to some sort of problems actually. Then coming to the different other parameters which are there, like say we have applications that we notice how AI is changing the world dynamics. The AI is projected to contribute around 15.7 trillion in global economy by 2030. Indian AI market being the third largest talent pool of AI talent in the world, with worth of INR 65,000 crores by 2025. These are all predictions from Gartner's actually, and likewise bodies. Then emerging AI technologies such as generative AI have the potential to add INR 6.6 lakh crores, around $80 billion, to India GDP by 2029 to 2030. AI would also add more 9 billion new employment in India, 9 million new employment in India workforce by 2035. If all these predictions are correct, or even half of the things are correct, then you are sitting here. Now find out what charter of your what you call career journey should have, because most of you are supported students here and those career beginners. So we sincerely feel that in most of the subjects of the management, policy making, all those things, now you think that how the implementation of the generative AI and large language models and others, they can have a better fitting actually. Because decision making, which were earlier by thumb rules and by based on some sort of, predictions, predilections, now it is based on the science actually. So more and more science in the form of AI you put, better will be your scope, your future, your interpretation and all those things. So I can say this is one of the particular forum where we have discussed a lot different way of how the AI is going to affect the policy planning and economy, and hope that some of the findings may be of quite interesting to all of you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Tiwari. We are very grateful for your insights, and it's always good to learn from an expert like you. And yes, so we are very delighted by your presence, and also we would like to thank you again. So now moving on, now we will have closing remarks by the director at the Center for Policy Research and Governance, Dr. Ramanand Tiwari.
Namaskar, respected Director IM, Professor Sanjeev sir, R. Balu sir, Ravi Shankar sir, Sangeeta ma'am. मुझे लगता है कि हम लोग कल से काफ़ी इस इशू पर बात करते हैं, बात की और कर रहे हैं, और हमें लगता है कि और लगातार करेंगे. तो इतना अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन फर्स्ट सेशन में हुआ, डायरेक्टर सर ने बातें की, तो मुझे लगता है कि अब मुझे इसके बारे में ज़्यादा बात करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. कुछ कस्टमरी जो प्रोसीडिंग है मैं वो कंप्लीट कर लेता हूँ. जैसे मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि सेंटर ऑफ पॉलिसी रिसर्च गवर्नेंस एक पब्लिक पॉलिसी थिंक टैंक है जो इस टाइप के कन्वर्सेशन डायलॉग वो लगातार ऑर्गेनाइज करता रहता है. दिल्ली में, लखनऊ में, मुंबई में, और इसके बाद इसी सब इशू से कनेक्टेड इशू पर हम लगातार इस साल भर कुछ ना कुछ डायलॉग डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं. सो मैं अपने जो स्पॉन्सर हैं जो यहाँ पे मेंशन है उनसे भी मेरा रिक्वेस्ट होगा कि इस टाइप के डिस्कशन और डायलॉग बहुत ही ज़रूरी होते हैं किसी भी सोसाइटी के लिए. गवर्नमेंट के जो प्रोग्राम होते हैं उनका सपोर्ट उनके लिए ज़रूरी है, बट कुछ सिस्टम होते हैं, कुछ इशूज होते हैं जिनके लिए सोसाइटी को आगे आना होता है. मुझे लगता है कि ऑटोमेशन और एआई का जो इशू है, डिस्कोर्स है, वो हमें इंस्टीट्यूशनल बाउंड्री से बाहर निकल करके सोसाइटी के साथ में कन्वर्सेशन करना होगा. क्योंकि अगर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग करनी है और हमें फ्यूचर सोसाइटी को देखते हुए प्रिपरेशन करनी है तो हमें सोसाइटी के साथ डायरेक्टली इंगेज होना होगा. और ऐसे मैं ही नहीं, बहुत सारे ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूशन हैं जिनको आपको सपोर्ट करना है. IIM मुंबई डायरेक्टर सर और जो भी हमारी पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजिंग टीम है, हम उनके लिए काफ़ी थैंकफुल हैं कि उन्होंने ऐसे कन्वर्सेशन को अपने यहाँ प्लेटफॉर्म दिया. और आगे उम्मीद है कि ये जो कन्वर्सेशन है, डायलॉग है, लगातार चलता रहेगा. मेरी सिर्फ एक ही गुजारिश है कि यूजुअली हम जब भी कोई चीज़ आती है तो उसके हम प्रो एंड कॉन्स में उलझ जाते हैं. यूजुअली जैसा मैंने कल मॉर्निंग में भी मेंशन किया था कि सोसाइटी की प्रिपेयर्डनेस हमें बढ़ानी होगी. जब भी कोई टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, सारी एमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजी जो भी इंट्रोड्यूस हो रही हैं वो सोसाइटी को चेंज करने जा रही हैं. जॉब मार्केट चेंज होगा वो इसका एक बाई प्रोडक्ट है. एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी बढ़ेगी या घटेगी वो भी एक उसका बाई प्रोडक्ट है, बट ओवरऑल सोसाइटी जो है वो इफेक्ट होने वाली है. तो सोसाइटी में काफ़ी सारे एस्पेक्ट आते हैं, उसमें मेंटल, सोशल, उसके सारे डायमेंशन चेंज होने वाले हैं. तो हमें सोसाइटी पर पहले फोकस करना होगा. अगर आपने सोसाइटी पर फोकस किया तो जो इकोनॉमिक पार्ट है वो अपने आप डील हो जाएगा. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Now we will have a short presentation summarizing the entire event, and it will be delivered by our very own Professor Sanjeev Verma, who is also the convener of this conclave. Sir.
A very good afternoon. Namaskar. So how much time should I take? Are you hungry? Okay. So you are trying to indicate me, sir, take less time. Okay. But my task जो मुझे मिला है is very complex. Over a period of 1.5 days, we have very elaborate discussions on various themes pertaining to automation and AI. And there were various thematic dimensions being discussed, some striking words. So for example, अभी इसी सेशन से पहले जन भागीदारी इन जन एरिया और जनरेटिव AI era. So जब हम बोलते हैं जन भागीदारी, so I'll say this: Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. So all the generations are going to affect by this generative AI era. So that is one striking feature, whereby it is not the Gen Z which is going to affect all of us, whether whatever age category we belongs to, the entire society. What Ramananji is saying. In one of the session, somebody mentioned that we are moving from Homo sapiens stage to the Digi sapiens. So when he was making the statement, there were some deliberations. For example, the physical world is no more a physical world. It's a physical world, which is a combination of virtual plus physical. Now, when we are living in two worlds, means there is a landscape change. A complete transformation is happening. Are we well prepared? Is the governance, government, political parties, we as a society is well prepared? So there were many, many dimensions being discussed in last 1.5 days. Now this topic is so vast. So when we were deliberating about what should be the theme of the conclave, with the reference to the policy making, we thought, let us focus on automation, technology. Then somebody said, no, we must focus on AI. Because the automation is so vast, it comes in various forms. You talk about, we are living in an era of data warehousing, data mining, data cleaning, data analysis, data analytics, consumer analytics, marketing analytics, cloud computing, IoT, artificial intelligence, and it's a long list. Where should I stop? But if you look at in last 1.5 days, most of the speakers, what they were doing, most of them, most of the time, 80 to 90% is focused on AI. And if that is the level of discussion, means now AI is not a technology. It's not an automotive technique. It's an AI industry. It's an AI era. And we have to be well prepared for that. Now, let me tell you the different sessions which we had in last 1.5 days. We thought of to discuss various industries, but time did not permit us. So we started our discussion with the first session, which was focused on fintech, financial market, insurance market, and the people from the leading banks, insurance industry, the startups, they contributed to the discussion. And if I look at the furtherance of the process, the second was on startup, third was governance. And in all the sessions, there was a generic overview. There was a pros and cons, the flips, both the flips, positive flip and the negative flip. If I draw some conclusions, so I can say that technology, especially AI, is going to really facilitate, transform, help us, improve us. There would be an exponential growth with the help of new technology, but there is a caution, there is a rider. So you already know Rome call. So Rome call is a global level discussion debate going on the ethical aspects of AI. So we are living in a world where we're talking about ESG, DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, environment, social governance, and all of them. So the whole world is debating on this topic. So if you look at, there are positives and negatives, but in conclusion, I'll say, we need to find a way whereby the technology remains an enabler, but with the ethical considerations. So thank you very much, CPRG, for giving us an opportunity to contribute in the whole process. And thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Verma. Indeed, it has been a very exciting 1.5-day event for us. And no words would suffice for the kind of insights, the valuable inputs, and the invigorating discussions that we've had through the support of our panelists, through the support of our faculty members, colleagues, and also students. I would like to extend a big thank you, a very heartfelt thank you to each and everyone who's made it possible. Starting with Director Sir, I am Director, our esteemed panelists, our very own Director, our convener Sir, Professor Verma, all the other faculty members, Professor Ranjini, Professor Ruchita, Poonam ma'am. Thank you so much. Student community members, everybody who did the running around, who made this possible. We came from Delhi. We've had several meetings. And also not to forget our sponsors that include ONGC, HP, GAIL, Indian Oil, Oil India, Bharat Petroleum. Each and everyone deserves a big thank you from us. Thank you. It's been a wonderful discussion, and we're very happy to have conducted a very successful event. Thank you. So this brings us to the end of the conclave, and now we would request you all to join us for lunch, which is on the 6th floor at the DGMP room. So I would like to request all our guests to please join us for lunch. And students, thank you, and hopefully we'll meet again for some other conference, for some other conclave. Yes, and so there's tea arranged for students at the foyer. So students, please have tea. And pardon me if I've missed out on any name, Professor Nikhil Ghag. We would not have made it without your support. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.